whiteboard, and I'm going to open up the floor and you guys can have at it. So let me do this real quick. Share screen, whiteboard, share. Okay. All right, let's see. Who is this? Okay, great. All right. So everybody can see the whiteboard, right?
Yep.
Great. Okay. So my first question, what what if you like what you need. So let's start there. As it relates to a community building organization or a mentoring situation or even a, sort of, one-to-one relationship building situation. What does your need look like? What do your needs look like?
I can talk from someone who never had a mentor or didn't get a mentor until I was well into my adulthood, but
Mhm.
missing,
Mhm.
if that helps. So growing up, I didn't have mentors. I kind of just, things were just going on around me, and I kind of just winged it and pretty much raised myself and just went through life and just made all the mistakes and didn't really have points of reference. Sometimes I had inadvertent mentors, which were like my friends' mothers, and it really was just watching them interact with their children that sort of gave me a sense of how it should be, but still no real hands-on. Like, this is how you wash clothes, this is how you cook food, this is how you do whatever, and those are just basic things. So then fast forward to teaching myself all of those things and becoming an adult and getting into the church and having mentors, then it was hard for me because those mentors were trying to teach me based on things that were unfamiliar to me. So the thing I heard all the time was keep your legs closed, don't have sex, do this, and let me train you how to be a wife. That was the mentoring I got. And it wasn't necessarily the mentoring that I need. But no one asked me what I needed. They just started putting on me what they thought was best for me. And I tried to adapt and tried to take those things to my chest and live them, but I couldn't because they didn't fit who I was. No one had taken the time to help me undo what I had learned up to that point because I had not been taught anything. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the mentoring should be tailored to the individual, that a lot of listening has to take place. And that also means listening without really be hearing anything. Because a lot of times people are afraid to talk and afraid to share themselves and afraid to be mentored because they don't know who they can trust. So watching, just being available to them and making it such that they feel safe to come to you when they finally do, and not really expecting anything from them other than to just be present as best they can and to just be yourself and allow, I guess, initially the relationship to be organic, and then find out from there what you need to implement, what actual official things that you need to implement to make sure that the person is getting what they need from you.
That's good. Especially the authenticity, that organic relationship, that's important. And that's exactly why I wanted to have this conversation, because I feel like, again, you have all of these, and a lot of times when organizations are stood up, I know when I decided to stand this organization up, my goal was, or the vision I had in mind was, all I want young girls to know is how valuable they are. Because I remember growing up, although I had, a mother who always made sure she instilled how valuable I was, but when she left, it wasn't that my dad didn't do those. I don't think he knew how. So he provided for me. He took care of me. He let me know he loved me often, but he didn't know what to do to make sure that I understood that my value wasn't tied to um, what people thought of me or measuring up to somebody else's expectations. So my father didn't know that he did the best he could with what he had. And so I went through all of these different experiences where I tied my value to it. I either tied my value to the relationship that I was in, or I tied my value to the work that I did, or I tied my value to my looks or, you know, whatever. And when I got to the place where I realized that those were not the defining, you know, components of my value, I just wanted to share it. I just wanted, you know, and I knew that it was going to take more than just, you know, talking to a group of young girls and telling them how valuable they are, because it'll go in one ear and out of the other when life says something different. So that I knew I needed to take time, kind of focus in, and to your point, Kuyani, about the listening to really understand, you know, to understand. And also one thing, not dismissing what that individual defines as a need for themselves, because a lot of times I've seen that happen. Thank God I have not done it myself. I thank God for that, but I've seen it happen in instances where individuals would have conversations with people. It'll be in a community type of setting, and the person will say, well, I need, you know, blah blah blah. And to have somebody come along who they don't know this person's story, they've never walked in this person's shoes, they don't understand the dynamic, anything like that, but for them to say, oh well, no, you really don't need that, what you're doing is blah blah blah. You can't tell them what they need, just like you can't tell a person how to feel. Just because something happens to you that doesn't really trigger a feeling from you doesn't mean that their feelings are not genuine and warranted. And so, yeah, you made some really good points. I'm sitting up here struggling with this. Is my first time using this whiteboard on on doggone what is this place thing called Zoom?
Yep.
What's this thing? So, but yeah, I just yeah, so that was like in the basic life skills. I think that is something with a younger mentee audience that I am acquiring. I'm working really hard on coming up with one-on-one type mentoring kind of roles where we could talk about, because everybody's basic life skill isn't the same. Some of them want to learn how to cook a good meal. Others might just want to simply learn how to pay a bill, you
Mhm.
know? Um, like, you know, I learned a lot of the things that I want to share with others. Um, I learned that from what my children didn't know. Like I didn't realize my kids are almost adults, a couple of them are adults, and I wouldn't trust them to go out here and sign a lease for an apartment as far as I can throw them, because they've been assigned their whole life away. So it prompted me as a parent to say, hey, you know, let me teach them this. So, but I'm gonna be quiet because we don't have but about 40 something minutes, and I don't want to keep y'all. So go ahead, floor is open. What if you had to take advantage of? If you had a need for a thing, what would a community organization? What would a mentoring relationship? What would a one-to-one? What would that look like? What would need to be needed to meet that for you?
For me, and this is to piggyback off of what Quiani was talking about. For me, I didn't have much mentoring at all. What I was taught was to cook a good meal. And I was told, don't depend on nobody else. So everything else I was lacking. So I didn't know how to balance a checkbook. I didn't know how that I had to put money aside for a rainy day. My financial knowledge came when I literally left Maryland and moved to Atlanta. And I had to learn it all on my own, trial and error. And some of the stuff you taught me, Stacey, and how to balance my books. And that's what pushed me more, even further, to go into an accounting for my degree. But as this mentoring on finances, how to balance your checkbook, how to save, um, how to stay out of debt, things like that is something that's good. And as for relationships, I barely was taught that either. What I learned is from what I saw from, other family members and some friends. How can I put this? How to go to God for that covenant relationship, how to seek him and the right person or the right friend that needs to walk beside you, that needs to help you carry the mantle that he has on you. Things like that is, to me, is something that I wish I had growing up.
That's good. That's good. And it's as basic as those needs are. You see how easy it is for us not to make them a part of like the priority. I too was taught everything biblical to the best of my parents' ability, right? Or from whatever was interpreted by my family. I was taught that. I was also to your point, Kuyani, I was taught, oh yeah, you got to know how to cook, you got to know how to clean, and all that different stuff. But I learned about finances and stuff by having a couple of evictions and having a couple of cars towed out of my driveway, and a couple of garnishments and judgments and court papers issued. That's how I learned about the finances and stuff. So Alicia, that's some really good financial management, debt management. That's a really good point and outline. So thank you for that. Does anybody else got anything they want to contribute? We're talking about what are some needs, like if you were seeking, some support in a community organization, mentoring relationship, something like that. What would your needs look like?
Hi, Stacey. I would say, as you like, when you ask that question, one of the things I think about is, because like we have like basic needs and assessment based on life skills, but then like there's that other category where you have some really individualized things depending on who that person is and how they're wired. And so I feel like in instances like that, I think that would heavily depend on how that mentor is wired, and then based on what that mentor can pour into that mentee. So like, let's just say like that person is skilled in process and development, and they notice that young mentee, they you know how it is, like, you see something in a child and it's like, I see something that's going to be, they have entrepreneurship skills, or they have, they're showing the beginnings of something. Being able, like, if I'm that child that's being mentored, what I would look for is guidance, like guidance in those areas to help develop some of the other, because which all the life skills are definitely important and we need that stuff too. But I would say in addition to that, being able to kind of help develop me in some of those other kind of specific tailored areas that maybe God has just wired me for. So whether that's, like for instance, you being a poet, and you could come across you being a poet, and you could end up coming. Oh wait.
No, go ahead, Nisha. I'm listening.
No, you good.
I'm listening.
Okay, I was like, I want to just be respectful. That's all. Not you, but me. Since you were talking, I wanted to make sure that I didn't want to say nothing and you didn't hear it. So.
Hold on, I'm talking to the kid. 1 second.
Okay, no problem, sis. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, Nisha. That was my kid.
No. I wouldn't even accept no apology, honey. We real life. Mentoring in home. But yeah, so in terms of like just how some, like for instance, like let's just say you come across a young writer and you notice that, okay, this particular child, she writes great short stories, and there's some other areas of development that she could really benefit from. Then it would be kind of individualizing, like taking the life skills, but then kind of tailoring, also kind of tailoring to the way that that particular child is wired. or if we
Okay.
see like leadership skills in someone, like, you know, if there's someone that's really gifted when it comes to leadership, you know what I'm saying? Like being able to pull out, you know, some of those, you know, some of those other things. Cause I'm sure like we can all probably attest, like we all have probably come across somebody at some point in our life that saw something in us that we just didn't see in ourselves. And because they spoke something or because they saw something and they kind of redefined or sharpened or ironed something out, it kind of gave more resolution to a gift that we didn't even realize we had.
That's true.
I hope I made sense when saying
You
that.
did. No,
Okay.
no, that made perfect sense because I think that the point is really the foundation of mentoring in general, mentoring or even any type of community impact organization.
Yeah.
You know, you do have to have, like, it'll be just like, you know, we know that there is a need for, you know, better food banks. We know that there is a need for better sheltering options for the you know, displaced community. We know that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you just go out there and say, okay, I'm just going to go to the store and grab any kind of food and just give it to them because they don't have it and they're going to eat this food or whatever, or you decide to go and, let's say you go decide to start a shelter for the displaced, and you don't take the time to really assess what the needs are. Some people are displaced due to mental capacity. Some people are displaced due to a change in finances. So when you give them the basic place to live, what other resources are you giving them to answer those solutions? So that point you made, the several points you made are really important. And I'm gonna be honest, just gonna be honest about this. I really didn't think about the real need to tailor that one-on-one relationship with the mentee until I got in it. So that's why conversations like this are necessary, because you kind of want to prepare and you also want to remove as much of what you think they need as possible, because you want them to understand, you want to build that confidence in that mentee, whether they're a young person or even a person who's got years of experience just through life. You want to build that confidence in them for them to say, you know, so that they can be confident in the choices they make, you know, because that's how I got entangled in the whole that's how I got caught up and entangled in the whole uh living to meet people's expectations of me, because I didn't know what I needed. I based a lot of my needs on what people said I needed. And so I didn't have confidence in my own decisions. And then when I made decisions, I went and got so many different perspectives that I was confused all over again. So when you have confidence in the decisions you're making, you don't need as much validation to do it. So thank you for that, Nisha.
No,
I think we had a couple other people join the call, but Keisha, Shanetta, do y'all want to contribute anything to the conversation?
Sure. So yes, I definitely wanted to piggyback off of what some of the other ladies said about financial literacy, because that is definitely important, especially in our younger generation, so that they don't end up doing some of the things that we as adults have done, as far as not knowing, because I know that that's not something that we were taught as kids. Growing up, like my dad would always say, pay your bills, but never showed you how to do it. So I mean, and like some of the others, I've never had a mentor, and to this day, like I don't consider having a mentor, but I feel like there are some people placed in my life that are mentors. They just don't know it. So I'm grateful for that. And it's definitely like within the last few years, it's like, oh God, I see why you placed them here, right? Because they're helping me in these areas where I fell short. So and two, I think like education, right? Like just talking to the young ladies. I mean, even some people who want to seek education but just don't know what they need to do or how to do it, how to go about it. So I feel like giving them resources for education. Like, okay, maybe they don't want to go to college. So what is their career path? What do they want to do in life? So I think that's important too. Because like me myself, I know, I think Alicia said that, she decided to go into accounting. Well, I did too. So I have a degree in accounting. I work as an accountant. I've been doing it for 10 years and I don't want to do it anymore. And I feel like if I had that like mentorship growing up, because my parents would always say, go to college, get your education. But what does that look like? You know what I mean? So I never had someone play it out like, hey, if you get this, then you can do X, Y, and Z. So just bringing out different career paths and talking to them on that's important too, because you don't want to be in your whatever you are, 30s, 40s, 50s, and like, oh my gosh, I'm on this career path. It doesn't drive me. Like that's not my passion. That's not my purpose. Like I'm not fulfilling it within myself, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's definitely important. And then helping with goal setting. Like I can honestly say that I don't know how to set goals. Like I've been trying. The juggle is real. So I feel like, assisting with goal setting is important. Like, teaching them how to set goals and like even little small goals. If it's like, I'm going to work out today, that's a goal. And once you accomplish it, then pat yourself on the back and congratulate yourself for the small wins because it's still a win. I mean, it doesn't have to be like some big drastic goal, but just, something small. So I'm working on that for me, but I feel like that's important. And then meeting them where they are, right? Situational advice. Because if they come to you or someone comes to you, whether it's a kid or adult, right? They come to you, you be a listener. You listen to what they're coming to you with, and then you give them advice based off of that. So that we're not, pushing stuff down people's throat like you need to do X, Y, Z. No, let me sit back and listen, adhere to your needs, and then we can go from there. And one of the other things I say is be a cheerleader, right? For
Mm-hmm.
everyone in this situation. Like cheerlead them, affirmations. Like I just recently realized that affirmations were important for me. I would affirm my kids because I didn't get affirmed as a child. So it's like I made it, a special, point to make sure I affirm my kids, let them know that they are smart, they're intelligent, they're beautiful, right? Just, giving them that something that someone didn't give me, right? Because I don't want them to go through life and not knowing that they're beautiful. Because that's when, things start to downward spiral. People have, self, confidence issues, self-esteem issues, right? Because that stuff wasn't put in them. So when you start with them, whatever stage they're at, you can always turn them around. But just starting at that point, being that cheerleader, affirming them, telling them that they're beautiful, and letting them know that once they, say that to themselves every day, I am beautiful, I'm smart. No matter what anybody says to you or whatever you go through in life, you'll have a ground to stand on. And yeah, and definitely, we definitely number one should be, you're a Christian based business, right? And so just explaining the importance of it. Everybody might not believe, right? So
Yeah, they
and
don't.
if
And
they, yeah,
I kind of, so I lead, so it is the foundational principle of how the organization functions. But I, in order for them to really know who God is, they got to have a sense of self. So I kind of lead with that. That's what I lead with
hmm
first. Like, who do you say you are? And then when they start talking about who they are, because oh, trust me, I've had a couple of them. They've tried my soul, and they don't always walk away off the rip. Oh, I'm ready to learn about this God you talk about all the time. Nope. They have to first know, you have to have some kind of idea of who you are, even if you don't know who you are, even if it's not true, if it's not, even if it's not the true essence of who you are, you have this idea of who you are and have to work with that, right? And I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to make sure I touched on that point. Because I've had people say, well, aren't you a faith-based organization? I'll never deny that is it's a foundational principle. The organization would not be without that foundational faith understanding. However, I want them to understand and know that it is open to anyone who is in need of, that mentoring dynamic, that one-to-one relationship, because in that one-to-one relationship, they might not believe how I believe, because that's not my goal. My goal is not to convince them to believe like I believe or how I believe. However, showing them how I am, who I am, the and genuinely being concerned and caring about their life and what they need and what they want, and wanting to see them do their absolute best. I've been successful in prompting questions like, well, why you care about me so much? You don't even know me. And then that opens up a conversation for me to then talk about, well, I care about you because, and we begin to share stories, and I'm discerning about the stories that I share, making sure that they're safe enough for that individual to, and then that ultimately leads to, well, what kept you from killing yourself, and what kept you from losing your mind, and what kept you from, like, I'll share stories about, like, a lot of my mentees were surprised to hear that I had such a history of fighting. I had to fight because people thought that they could try me. They just really thought that I was, and so when I share those types of experiences with them, they were like, well, what made you change your mind, and what made you stop? And so then that presents the opportunity for me to share about my faith and about, things like that. So Nisha, you just raised your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So quick question. Just like how you just mentioned that your mentee was surprised to hear that, that you had a history of fighting and those things. When I guess like when you typically I guess when you recruit your mentees, are they filling out like a questionnaire to where there's like an about me, like is there anything set up in place to where you're able to kind of get, ask some questions, they give you those answers, and then from that you're able to kind of look and see kind of like where to go with that particular child? And then that was one question. Then my other question is, are you do you have other mentors that are do you have other like mentors that are volunteering to work with some of the kids as well?
I do. So I do. I do. I have quite a few. And when I did this rebranding and revamping and expanded the target demographic, I definitely opened it up to, I wanted people that wanted to be a part of the organization to, sign up. And then, of course, I take them through the clearance process that I have set up, an external, clearance process and things like that. But yes, I do. The thing is when I did this rebranding and and I talked to some of the girls. Now the ones that I've been mentoring for a while, they're like, nope, Miss Stacy, I'm gonna be 40 and you still gonna be my mentor, and don't you pass me off to nobody else. So even if I think somebody is great for them, like, you would love her, she'd be like, I don't care. So I've had some challenges because
Yeah.
right now my mentoring audience is at about 52.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That wow,
Oh my God.
that's an amazing, that's a really amazing like problem to
Wow.
have. It's a good problem, like that you have a whole lot of mentees. Because what I was gonna ask is like when they're filling out that form, and then for your mentors, as you're recruiting them, if there's like a mentor sheet that you have that they're filling out, so that way you're able to kind of even match some of the mentees and mentors based on some similar interests. So even like when it comes to a lot of the key things that everyone identified, like basic life skills, career path, resources, goal setting, like we know that those are the, some of the main things that we know that everyone needs. But then for some of those, some of those more kind of tailored individual, skills like that, during that process when you're doing that matching, you'll be able to kind of like, okay, well, this person is good with this and this child is interested in this. Okay, so we see something here. So
Yeah,
I was just
see,
thinking of that
that
when you
was the
said
revamping that I did. You definitely went right down the right road and made all the right turns. Because when I did the revamping, that's what I did. I created, I always had applications for the mentees, and I did have mentor applications when I started out. But because of I was getting court referrals, and once they got safe with me, they were like, I don't care what they know. I'm not moving. But I do have a mentor, mentee, sort of a matching mechanism that I would use. So you really, what you just did was just really reconfirm that I was making the right choices in that movement as far as how I'm going to, as this rebranding goes and I launch out, um, because I do have new people reaching out to me. And so what I've been doing, and I had a couple of friends that I know who were like, I would love to be a mentor. And so they're going through the vetting process as far as like the clearing process to do that. so that I can appropriately match up. So what I do is when I establish communication with the potential mentee and I let them know, this may be a little window time because I want to make sure that I match you with the right mentor. And that usually works for the ones that don't talk to the mentees I currently have. The mentees I currently have, they block life. They'd be like, you don't want nobody else but Miss Stacy. Miss Stacy can't do this for your friends.
They love you.
They are. Listen, if I wasn't married and my husband wasn't vocal, they would be like they would call and they'd be like, Mr. Jelani, I got a life situation, so I need Miss Stacy. Are you okay? If I didn't have a husband, child, I have a house full of children. These children are something else. And the mothers are, I love the mothers. The mothers are interesting. Something happens when I engage with their children. They end up giving me keys to their homes. I was like,
True story.
I got at least 5 parents. I got their keys on my house, on my ring. So,
I've had visits.
Oh, wow.
so, but yes, I definitely want to do more of a mentor mentee match. I really just want to make sure. And just some of the things, like I said, Lakeisha, you bringing up the goal setting, that's good. I need that now. And I'm about to be 43. I need that now, today.
Same here.
Like,
Somebody help me.
help me. Let me know when you do a workshop, Lakeisha, about the goal setting. All right.
Listen, I'm gonna have to call on the experts.
Sign up.
I got a couple of them in my pocket.
'Cause my goodness, I just
Goal
need 'em.
setting. I mean, like even I have one young lady on here who's all about planning, and that's one of the things. Child, planning is not my thing. I'm like, I swear that little ADHD be getting in the way sometimes. I'm like, fix it, Jesus. Like, because the planning is just not here. It's not. I have been working on it, and thanks to her, I'm on my journey. But yeah, so I mean, it's a lot. You said you needed to.
I needed to. I mean, I'm a planner because I can't really. I gotta have things. I may not need it planned all the way out to complete execution, but it's some things that I cannot fly by the seat of my pants with, right? I gotta sit down, I gotta think it through. And that might just be that history that I have from the professional background of working on projects. Like you cannot, have a future state expectation when you haven't done any present state planning. You're like, oh, I'm gonna be a millionaire. Oh, okay. Well, what's your bill payment posture look like? And be like, I don't know, God gonna drop the box out the sky and I'm gonna be a millionaire. That's all. And I actually had one of my nieces tell me that. She was like, I'm gonna speak it into existence. And every time she got money, I said, put it in the bank. She said, I'm gonna just stand outside and just speak it into existence. I'm gonna say, God, I know you want me to be a millionaire. I received the millionaire status. Just this, and she was so serious. She won't plan, and I was just like, Lord, you're going about this all wrong. So, the planning. You're absolutely right. You can't never have too much education in that area. At least I can't. So, Kuyani, were you gonna say something?
Oh, that yeah, you can add me to the list of volunteer mentors, whatever your vetting process is. I thought I told you that before, and I really feel like we had this conversation, and I might have been going through another growing phase and probably had no spiritual space for it, but I'm definitely I'm here for it now.
Okay. That's all I needed to know. Yeah, you did. You definitely, no, you availed yourself to it. But at the same time, too, I was cognizant of everything that you were dealing with. And I knew that I wanted to be sensitive to your capacity. So, but
yeah, I was definitely birthing babies at the time, spiritually speaking.
Yep. So I'm putting you on my list. But I know we definitely had talked about that. And Alicia, if I'm not mistaken, I think you had offered as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, get me together. Keep me honest.
No, you're correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, as I get, mentees as they come in through the pipeline, I definitely will be keeping you guys in the loop as I match up. And then what I'll need y'all to do though, I'll send y'all the information sheet so I can get some information from you guys, and that'll better help me, match you guys up with mentees as they come in. So I see we got someone on the line, but I think it's just a phone number, so I can't really tell who it is. But whoever's on the phone, if you want to contribute to the conversation, please do. We would love to hear from you. I'm not sure who it is though, so I can't greet them. But yeah, that was
That's who
really.
I invited. Her name is Tatiana.
Oh, okay, Tatiana. Okay, hi. Well, welcome, Tatiana. We glad you're here. Glad you're here. So yeah, I appreciate y'all for having this conversation with me. It's very helpful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this information, um, and I'm going to definitely share the recording. Like I said, the audio recording. I'm not really sharing like the video recording. So if you've been off video, don't worry. Your face won't be plastered on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. But I'm going to share the video recording on the I Am Valuable Mentoring Programs YouTube page and the Facebook page as well, and hopefully open up dialogue in on the social media platforms for people to share. Maybe they'll see this and say, you know what, well, I think this, or I need this, or I would like this, because that's really the goal. The goal is to talk about things that, otherwise it's not at the front of our brain unless it's something we have to actively do, or something happens where we're impacted and like, you know what, the kids need this. Like one thing I realized, just even from my own children, uh, my kids needed to understand, like we said, we want our children, or we want our nieces and nephews, or our cousins and little people that we know, we want them to be self-sufficient. But do we understand what the definition of self-sufficiency is for ourselves? So if we don't know what that is for us, what that looks like for us, how can we set a precedence for them to be self-sufficient? And start asking them the questions. What does self-sufficiency look like for you? Do you just want to have an apartment and a good decent job that you can just pay your bills and live, or are you trying to start a business so that so those are the things that I'm actively working on right now. Thankfully, not too much time has passed, as far as for my older children, where their father and I can't still invest in them. But I can't remember who made the point about not everybody wants to go to college. My oldest daughter went to college. My son, he's autistic, so he didn't go to college, but he ended up going off to vocational school. But my baby wants to go off to dance school, and she also wants to take on some other entrepreneurial things. Like she wants to have her own. She's doing her own like apparel and things like that, like pillows and decor and stuff. She's hand sewing stuff like that. And so because she doesn't want to go off to college, and my son is doing vocational, we really do have to tailor what that self-sufficiency for each of them looks like, because my daughter, my youngest daughter, more than likely is going to go out here and have to start her own business. So rather than, oh, let's do a nest egg for her college, let's do a nest egg for her to get, that seed money to start a business. My son is already owning and running his own business, so we're trying to funnel money there and teach him how to manage there. And then even my daughter, even though she's in college for art, she ultimately is going to end up sort of being an entrepreneur, because she wants to, while working as an animator, probably for some big company, she also wants her own art studio. Like she said, she wants a building where she can, bring other artists in to showcase their work, bring other artists in who want to be instructors to teach, so she wants a almost like a empire of sorts. And so as their parents, if the only thing we did was put money aside for them to go to college, and that's not what they decided to do, you know. But yeah, just really understanding what that self-sufficiency looked like. And I think even that, to that point, for mentees and mentors, that's a really good thing to understand too when you're talking to your mentee. What does self-sufficiency look like? even like my older, female, well, all of my mentees are female, but even like my older audience, right? Like even talking about self-sufficiency, I have well, this was funny. One of my mentees forgot that her birthday was coming up. Well, her birthday was happening. Her birthday was it was like the next day. So I texted her the day before and I said, hey, what are you doing for your birthday? Now, true, she about to be 56, but you're not old. So what are you doing? And I was like, so what you doing for your birthday tomorrow? And she was like, oh my God, time flew that fast. Hold on. And she had to go get her license and look at her license. And so in talking to her about self-sufficiency, she was like, so that conversation could kind of stretch across the younger demographic, even up to the older demographic, because she kind of had to revisit some things. For her, it was a struggle because she had to pivot in a lot of areas because COVID just wiped a lot of things that she was used to out of her life. And so she had to pivot and make some changes. And so now, as a result of that, that definition of self-sufficiency has changed for her as well. So before we close, because I'm going to close at hold on one second, just hold on one second, y'all hang tight. Un momento. Well, don't look like I got to get off the phone. The child went and caught a lift. Well, come on, Jesus. Something's going on in the atmosphere. I'm with it. Let's do it.
Come on,
Self-sufficiency.
self-sufficiency.
You saw that? You see it? But I know I told you guys, I know because I know Nisha has some other obligations, which I'm gonna go ahead and do a shameless plug. Nisha, I'm gonna let you go off mute. I need you to tell the ladies on the line what's happening tonight. I know you didn't ask me to do that, but we're gonna do that anyway because that's what we do. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Nisha plug what's happening tonight. It's really good if you're able to be a part. So I'm gonna be quiet so she can go ahead and give y'all the facts. Because this is a tea conversation after all. Spill the tea, Nisha. Spill the tea.
Let me just say, sis, one, I appreciate the fact that you would let me share this in this meeting. So thank you. I appreciate it. So tonight, if you're interested, I'm a part of I'm the founder of an organization called Take the Torch. And tonight we're actually, it's the kickoff of our Wisdom Speak series. And so we will actually be having a conversation with Miss Barbara Cross. Ms. Barbara Cross is one of the survivors from the 1963 16th Street bombing in Birmingham, Alabama, of the 4 little girls. And so it's going to be just a really comfortable, laid back conversation with her. We have some questions that were submitted by our team. Then we're also going to take a few questions from our chat, from those that are going to dial in. And so it's just going to be just a nice conversation. And I think just full of, definitely, I would say one of those conversations where if you have, teenagers, young people, it will be good to be able just to, to be able to kind of really understand what happened during that time, that piece of history. And she'll be going in detail with, what it was like. Her father was actually the pastor of that church. And her father, after that situation happened, then transitioned to Atlanta, became a associate pastor of a church actually in Decatur. And so there's just a lot of history, of course, as it relates to him and Dr. Martin Luther King. And so being able to hear her story is just going to be amazing. So if you're interested, what I'll do is I can actually drop the link. I'm so slow when it comes to stuff like this. I can get the link in the chat, or Stacey, if I get it to you, could you send it to everyone?
I sure can. I'll make sure everybody on here gets it. And Lakeisha, since you have someone that's on the line, you'll make sure she gets it, right? Okay. Yep. We'll make sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. We'll get that
She's
sent
saying
out.
that she can't speak. I think Zoom is not allowing her to speak on her phone or something. So that's why she's not able to chime in.
Oh. Okay. Thank you, Nisha. Yeah, so that's tonight. So if you guys can tune in for that. Yep. Okay, good. Well, that's awesome. Y'all
I had a couple more things to add because you cut me off.
Go ahead and pray for my little baby because she just cried herself all the way to work in the lift. She made it, but she cried herself all the way to work.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
She said
Wow.
she's all right. Lord, see, that stuff. All right, go ahead, Lakeisha. I'm a listening.
No, I just wanted to, because I know you mentioned that your audience is not just kids, right? So so I was just thinking like in adulthood, what are some things that we need in adulthood? Um, and you and bruh just celebrated y'all anniversary, right? So whoop whoop for y'all, you know what I mean? Y'all them years. Like so marriage counseling, right? Marriage, people want to hear about that too. Like especially in adulthood. So when you're mentoring, like maybe sometimes they want to hear about, how to handle things in marriage. And not necessarily you're not a marriage counselor, right? But you can still, talk to them and discuss certain things about marriage. Like what have you done? What have been, beneficial? What are things that you've looked forward to or looked to get you to where you are, right? Your journey. So I think that that's very helpful because I'm telling you, I look at y'all, I'm like, look at that power couple, they so cute. Like, and we all know it's not all peaches and cream throughout this whole thing, right? But that's stuff people want to hear, right? Because they want to know that I'm not alone. I'm not in this by myself, right? There's other people that are going through the same thing that I'm going through, right? So just having that 101, that kind of, I don't know, I'm getting chills now. It's like, oh my god. But yeah, so that's one of the, and then like work life balance, right? Like for people who have jobs, how do you balance the two? And especially in the times that we're in now with like the whole COVID thing, it's tough to balance them both. Like even for me, because I mean, you roll out of bed, you at work. So then it's like, how do you separate your work because you still have your kids, or you don't have kids, but you still have your husband or your significant other or your family that you still have to tend to. So how do you balance that, right? In my mind, it was easier for me to balance it when I was leaving out of the house because I could leave that workplace and be like, deuces, catch me tomorrow when I get back in this building. Right now, it's like, gosh, I gotta know when to stop. Like when do I let go of my work so I can tend to my family? Um, so I think that that's important as well. But those are the last couple of things that I just wanted to add. I feel like are important for for the building community and trying to make sure that we're all at this place of helping each other, right? I feel like that's how we grow. We build on with each other. But yeah. So that, and even to you, Stacey, like entrepreneurship. Maybe some people want to be in entrepreneurship, right? Maybe they want you to talk about that a little bit, right? Like how to get things started on that facet. So it's a whole bunch of things that you can, topics that you can talk about when mentoring or a touch on, right? Just, look at your space and see where you are and see where value you add to, other people's situations. But yeah, so that's it. I'm not gonna talk anymore because I know I can keep going all day long.
You you can talk. You can talk. No, but that is very helpful because and to your point, a lot of with my the older mentees I have, a lot of it is centered around relationships because they understand the basic life skills. They understand, they've either established their career path or they're already, establishing businesses or whatever. And so that from that perspective, there is a dynamic and okay, Nisha was able to get that in the chat for y'all too, but I'll make sure I get it out to y'all too. But you know, it is centered a lot around relationships, whether it be love relationships, marriage, dating, engagement, or I get a lot of my mentees, and I love them, Jesus, because I know for my mentor, I know I'm a whole handful and a half, especially when it comes to talking about friendships. That seems to be the bigger relationship dynamic that we talk about a lot. Whether it be my cutoff game strong, I'm about to cut you off and I don't ever want to hear from you again. Or I'm in a toxic friendship, but I'm in it and I've been in this friendship for 20 plus years and I don't know how to let go. Or I don't have no friends, and so I'm gonna befriend everybody that show me any kind of interest and they got anything in common with me. So those are the types of, as far as relationships go, that's the type of stuff I am confronted with. So let me ask this question, before we kind of close up and close off for the afternoon. Um, are any of you interested in starting your own sort of mentoring, community building initiative? Now, Kuyani, I know you have another plug here in her work, Elevation LLC. And so that's more along the lines of a coaching organization, but it's mentoring in the same breath. And so, but for the rest of you, are any of you, like, even around your craft, are you interested in framing up some type of community impact organization around maybe the gift or talent or craft that you have? Just a general question.
For me personally, I can't say that I'm interested in starting my own. I am definitely a supporter. And I've learned to stay in my lane, right? I'm definitely a supporter of helping others and building other people, because I feel like my purpose is helping other people excel, right? So if I can join with others and live out my purpose and my passion, which is, you know, people and helping, then that's what I'll do. Yeah, that me starting something.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me that look, like, girl, nah. Cause I like to be on the backside. You know what I mean? I like to be able to, you know, help out. Cause I don't need. I don't know. For me, I just don't feel like that's where I'm supposed to be centered, right? Where I'm supposed to
Ain't nothing
be.
wrong with
I
that.
feel, yeah. I feel like
Nothing
he
wrong with
placed
that.
me where I am to just help other people.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. And
So I'm a
so,
good assistant.
listen, you better be a good production. You better be a good executive producer for the whole
You know what it is
production.
though? This is my new thing. I'm a servant leader.
Okay, Agile. You better be a scrum. I know that's right. Ain't nothing wrong with it. And you know what? You make a very good point. A lot of times, and this is the societal influence, society is pushing this narrative that if you're not out front, you're not making an impact. But we forget about when some of your best movies, production assistants, you know, there were people who you never see the director. You might see the director's name, but you never see the director. You don't know who did the lighting. And so if everybody's trying to be the lead actor, who gonna build a set? Who gonna set the lights? Who gonna get this thing? Who it's components. And so you make a very good point to that. I wanted to be in the background, but God wouldn't let me. He didn't even give me the personality for it. That really sucks. Um,
I feel your pain.
so 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 amen, Lakeisha, for having the personality and being given the fortitude to be a servant leader in the background. Anybody else?
I'll say in terms of what she said too, like I know that I lead in some capacities, but I also know that I know how I am and what happens when I've added way too much to my plate and then I end up operating on fumes. So in terms of supporting an effort like this, I could do that all day, but I know if I tried to lead and create that on my own, I would end up giving the bare minimum of like of 25 or 50% when I know it could be much better, you know, for something if someone else, you know, did that.
Yes, and that's honest and fair, you know. And that's the kind of honesty we have to have within ourselves and even in as a community. You know, you just want to be out here putting your hands in all the pots. And then when everything get done at the same time, you don't have enough hands to stop it from cooking. So then you got something overdone and something underdone and something not even done, you know? So allow yourself to be centered, know where you're supposed to be. And if God wants to move you out of a place that you thought he had settled and established you in, then he will, and he'll give you the provision and the capacity to execute to that. So I think listen, I appreciate all this truth y'all telling on this phone. Now, Shanetta, the way you run your mouth, I just know you ain't sitting over there with nothing to say. Huh?
Hmm.
Okay. All right.
So
Somebody
that's
lying.
I
Somebody
had
lying.
typed some stuff in the chat because I
Uh-huh.
was touching my face and drinking my tea. But amen. All right.
Ain't nobody trying to read. We don't want to read. We want to hear you talk.
But no, I agree with everything that you guys had said thus far in regards to what I would need if I tried to put myself in the shoes of when I was younger, you know what I mean, as a teenager, and what I felt I needed as a mentor. Now as an adult, just, reminders, which I feel like I don't have a formal mentor. I just feel like God places people in my life when they need to be there. And we just have those conversations that need to be had. And sometimes they need to pull me up on my stuff and I'd be like, okay, amen. Yep, I'm here for it. So just accountability, and just somebody like I feel like I have a lot of sisters now who can accompany me on my journey, right?
Mhm.
So that's pretty much it. That's it. Nothing too major.
Okay. All right. All
So to
right.
answer your question,
Alicia. Oh, go ahead.
on
Yeah, answer my question because you didn't.
I'm sorry,
getting
quick plug, sis. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. I just wanted to say bye and thank you for the invite.
No problem. You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
All right, sis. Bye, you guys. Bye, ladies.
bye.
Bye.
Later.
Okay, go ahead, Shanette. I'm sorry.
No, you good. But to answer your question, at the moment, no, I don't feel led to start anything. So, amen. Amen.
What about you, Alicia?
At this moment, with all that I have on my plate, I don't think I would be. It'll be a good idea for me to, with my craft, to open up mentoring in my craft for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I will wait until he says, okay, now do.
Mm-hmm. Best time to
So
do it when he tell you to do it.
right. So
Did you say mentoring and your craft or in your craft?
in my craft.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Which I think would be great. Like, and I don't even mean from the scale of little girls learning how to sew. Now I'm talking about like forget going to the store to buy your own closet. I mean to buy your stuff. You can sew your own closet worth of clothes.
girl, my mama just asked me the other day, I need you to sew me some clothes. Oh, you want me to sew an entire wardrobe for you? Oh, yes, I do. Oh, okay. I need some sewing space.
Do me
Okay.
next. Do me next.
Yes, ma'am.
You already know. You already know. I'm on the waiting list. Stop playing.
Yes,
I'm sending you
ma'am.
some pictures in a minute.
And just in case y'all didn't know, she is the owner of okay, you changed the name. So what's the new name?
No, the name is still Grace by Design LLC.
Okay.
God has put me on another venture to also do Grace Apparel
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
So I'm working on that and working on building that part of the business up, and hopefully I can get it running by the end of March.
Sounds
But
good.
Grace Apparel, I sew and design.
Come on, drop those links. Drop those links. Come on with it.
When she get all
For
that
the ones
stuff,
who don't know.
when she get all that stuff put together,
I'm
she
so
gonna do it.
happy.
And look at her.
I'm
Look at her.
saving my coins. I'm supposed to be saving for a house, but I'm gonna need that wardrobe first or add in the
Oh
interim.
Lord.
Oh, gee.
You know, Lord, be standing at the building site. You rather be fully dressed. They be like, Miss Lewis.
Sleeping on the ground, sleeping on the concrete, but I'm fly.
So she'll have them links. She working on them, Lakeisha. You trust me, I've been in that ear. She working on them. But one thing I know about Alicia is she don't half step on nothing. So whatever time she need to take to do whatever she need to do is because of the quality of what she does. I don't know if y'all remember I had a camouflage dress that I've worn a couple of times. Lakeisha, I think I wore it to church a couple of times. With that cinch belt, that waist belt, she made that.
That thing was flat.
I got my camouflage skirt too. I definitely wear it as a dress. Don't say nothing.
Uh-uh. And then I have a blue duster too that she made for me. It was right before Thanksgiving, wasn't it, Alicia? Right before Thanksgiving 2019?
Yes, because you
Came
had
for
come
the
down
wedding
to
fitting.
Atlanta for something.
The wedding fitting,
And
the dress fitting for the wedding.
mhm,
And
I
she
had
made the
whipped it
wedding
together
dress.
for
Mm-hmm. So yeah, she made the wedding dress too. So now I ain't getting my clothes from nobody else. So yep. So ladies, I appreciate you all. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. Thank you for bringing your tea or whatever's in your cup because that's your business. And then before we go, I do want to shout out the tea brand that I used to make my tea today, Black Tea Hive. Now, she sold out of all the tea when I put the thing out on the she for people, for people to buy the tea. So
Yeah, 'cause I ain't getting none.
my apologies if you went to go get this blueberry tea, which is a blessing from the Lord God Jesus, and it wasn't available. Um, but Black Tea Hive, it is a Black owned woman owned tea company. And right now and I don't know, it looks so blurry over here, but I'm gonna share the link again when I share this. But right now she's working on just selling like a particular flavor per month, because I think it was
Uh,
getting to be too much for her, because it's just, it's just her. It's like her, and I think she has a couple other team members. But can you imagine you trying to fulfill, and you're talking about pouches and pounds of tea. So she's trying to, just get everything centered, because her business is blowing up. She's got people reaching out to her now for to do sort of brand ambassador type stuff, sharing these influencers that are sharing their stuff. And so she's doing really well for herself. But it's a Black owned, woman owned tea company. This tea is good. You don't need to put no whole bunch of stuff in it. It's fresh. It's everything. And so that's who I had reached out to kind of get information from T about tea for today's event. Or otherwise, if I wouldn't have got a hold of her, she would have been over here sipping on that Lipton. Don't trip, all right? Because I drank that. I dranks it. I dress it up real good, but I dranks it. So
Oh, get some yogi, girl. Get some yogi tea or something.
I don't even know what that is.
oh, they sell
Ooh,
that
girl, I'm
in
saying
Wegmans and
that.
Whole Foods. That's just regular old
Listen,
wannabe. Damn.
yogi is a step up from Lipton, though.
It is. It is. Real. It is.
Don't do me in these streets, Lakeisha. Don't do me.
I'm over here drinking some Tiesta tea because I'm still waiting on my beehive or whatever. I'm still
Black
waiting
Tea
on it. It
Hive.
ain't-
I'm finna get this sweet coconut cinnamon she got.
If it ain't sold out, child, because she been sold out. So
Mint
Yes.
chocolate
yeah.
rose. Good Lord. What's going on? Vanilla marshmallow.
So look at you. You ain't even supposed to have all that.
I
I
know.
appreciate y'all. And if you're in the Northern Virginia, DC, Maryland area, y'all be safe. We're supposed to get 100% chance of snow tomorrow.
Come on, man.
Don't be clapping, Lakeisha.
No,
Oh
ma'am,
my,
don't
I'm
please.
tired
I
of
have
this
to do
already.
so.
Yep, you're right. She sold out of everything. Goodness
Yeah,
gracious.
because we're not happy about the snow.
Oh, Siri, please play Midnight Train to Georgia. All of the
Okay.
snow.
How about a midnight plane to Florida? Lord have mercy.
I don't trust nowhere now. After they done got Texas, I don't think anywhere is safe. Mess around, we go there and there's snow coming in. Lord have mercy. Jesus. They here. Let's get them some snow.
That's true. That's true.